Hello, everybody. Welcome to First Fridays. Just going to simultaneously get our Instagram connection. Hi, everybody. For those of you who don't know me or who are new here, my name is Fiona McEntee. I am the really proud managing attorney at McEntee Law Group. We have an incredible team of attorneys, case managers, other support staff, client coordinators, our operations manager. We just have basically an amazing team of people who are here to help you with your immigration needs. All we do is immigration. And I know that we do it really well. And we're just delighted to be able to help so many people with their immigration cases. A lot of us have a very personal experience with immigration. Um, Thanks for the nice comments. And we just want to be able to help people in the way that we would want to be helped ourselves. So yeah, we're just delighted to be able to do these live broadcasts as well. So this is something that we started during COVID when everything was just chaotic in terms of immigration and travel bans and all sorts of things shutting down, and so we started it as a way to give regular updates to people, and we've continued it. So it's a monthly series, and we have a different attorney jump on. It's important that you hear from all attorneys, not just from me. There are quite a lot of us, so we want to give everybody that opportunity to come on and to share some immigration news and updates. So I am here for the first Friday in May. Feliz Cinco de Mayo as well. And I don't know, for those who aren't in Chicago or just in Illinois, we are finally experiencing some spring weather. So, that just puts everybody in good form. And yeah, looking forward to a nice weekend of finally some weather where we don't need our big coats on. So hope you all are having a great day wherever you're tuning in from, and let's get started. So the purpose of the First Fridays is to really talk about some immigration news, share some updates, and then to take some questions. So if you do have questions, if you want to pop them in the chat wherever you're on, whatever platform you're viewing them on, I'll try and take them if I can. We also have asked for questions ahead of time, and so people have submitted those as well. So just a note that obviously this is a public forum. You're on social media. Just be aware of what you're typing in. It's not confidential or an attorney-client relationship. So just, use common sense with the questions that you ask. You don't want to put something out there in the public that is just detrimental to you. So anyway, those legal disclaimers and things aside, the first thing I'm going to talk about is the H-1B visa lottery. I'm not sure if, for those of you who have not heard of or known what the H-1B lottery is, consider yourselves lucky. The H-1B lottery is an annual thing that we have to go through for our clients who need a new H-1B visa. It's for first-time H-1B visa applicants who are working with non-cap exempt companies. So basically, think of like the international student who graduates who needs something after a student visa. H-1B is a very popular option for them. And there are a limited number of new H-1B visas per year, 65,000 for regular H-1Bs. And then there's an additional 20,000 if you have a US master's from certain institutions. Most institutions are covered, but so it's a limited number of there are a limited number of slots, and because of that, there's high demand. And oh my gosh, I just have to talk about what happened this year. So every year there's a limited demand. Their supply has historically been higher than the demand, and they've done a random lottery to see who's getting selected. Now I don't want to date myself or age myself. However, I've been practicing for over 15 years, and I've gone through this H-1B lottery every year since I've been practicing. And I think in all but 2 years, there were 2 years of that 15-year period where the visas were not issued through lottery. But every other year it's been a lottery. And the system was changed a few years ago. Previously, you used to have to mail in your H-1B petition, and then they would do the selection and then send back whatever petitions were not selected. And that was more of a commitment on an employer's point of view. When you're actually filing a case, you're hiring an attorney to fully prepare a case and file it. It's a more there was just more on the line there. There were costs involved. There was, just time. And so it was just a heavier lift to enter the lottery because of those things that you needed to do. So a few years ago, the lottery process was changed, and they changed it. And instead of filing the case and then doing the lottery, they created this electronic registration process where, it's a relatively lower barrier to entry. The lottery fee is pretty nominal. We help our clients with the lottery, but there are certain companies that kind of popped up that started doing this, unscrupulous, kind of fraudulent, I would say, companies. So basically what started happening is the numbers started increasing in terms of the lottery applications. And this year we all felt like the lottery was just, the rates were down extremely low. In terms of just anecdotally, our percentages of selections were much lower. And now we know why. And it wasn't just our thoughts. It was actually based on reality. This year they received over 780,000 registrations for the lottery. So nearly 800,000 applications for 85,000 visas. So, and of those, this is an interesting statistic that has been published, that of those, over 400,000 people submitted multiple registrations. Now, the law says that an employer cannot submit multiple registrations for the same person. But as it stands right now, an individual can have multiple employers submit registrations for them. And as far as we can see, that's what was happening. There were these companies that were popping up that were filing multiple registrations for people and all sorts of, I guess we don't even know the half of what's been happening. But this is just it's not how the immigration system should be run for like a professional visa. There obviously needs to be more of them. There needs to be some monitoring of this, and perhaps moving to a one application per beneficiary model versus, one person submitting 10 applications through all these different employers. Like, that's not fair. And it also calls into question, like, in the lottery, you're supposed to do an attestation. So you're attesting to the fact that there is a legitimate job opportunity available. And how can that be true for 10 companies for one person, that there's work and there's these are questions that everybody has. And I mean, I've personally dealt with many clients who have not been selected in the lottery year after year after year, and they're going to have to leave the US, and they have really critical skills, data analytics, software developer, like skills that are not available here. And they've come here a lot of times to study and do their masters. And, this is kind of what's happening. People have to leave the US. There's some people, these like unscrupulous companies are trying to, like, I don't know, rig the system. But the USCIS is investigating this, right? They've said that they have taken in bold on their webpage, based on evidence, they have already undertaken in extensive fraud investigations. They have been denying revoking petitions accordingly, and they're apparently in the process of initiating law enforcement referrals for criminal prosecutions. So I don't know. I feel like this is just the tip of the iceberg here. We're probably going to be hearing a lot more in relation to this. But my sympathies go out to people who were not selected in the lottery, because I came as a foreign student to the US myself, and I know how it feels to need something after student visa. And for a lot of people, this is their plan A, maybe their only plan. But if you're in the situation where you did not get selected in the lottery, please feel free to get in touch with us to see if there's another option for you. There are some, I would say, I don't want to say newer options, but there's some new uses of cap exempt H-1Bs through certain nonprofits that might work for people. So please get in touch with us if you feel like, if you're in a situation where you were kind of relying on getting a H-1B and that didn't happen, there may be other options, available to you, maybe green card options, maybe O1 visa if you're extraordinary, and so we just have to wait and see. One of the questions actually for today, somebody had asked, seems like the ratio of H-1B applicants has gone way up, and any idea why? And so, yeah, hopefully I think everything that I've just explained there has helped answer that question. that it is unfortunate. But yes, the ratio of applicants has gone way up. And I know I gave you that stat that it was nearly 800,000, but just to compare to last year, it was 480,000. Still dramatically higher than it had been in years before this whole system came in, but not as high as 780,000. So another question that we got was, do we think there will be a second cap lottery because of the results of the first one? I don't know what's going to happen with the cap lottery. Like maybe not last year, I think, but like the 2 years prior, and they did multiple lotteries because people who were selected didn't end up, their companies didn't file cases for them. And that's because this started in the pandemic. So definitely for some people, circumstances change, but for other people, maybe they weren't legitimate offers to begin with. Who knows? But there was a lot of cases that never ended up being filed. The registration was selected, and the cases weren't filed. And so the USCIS did multiple lotteries. So we don't know if that will happen again. It sounds like there's very active investigations going on. We'll definitely share any news that we get. We're very active on our social media platforms. You can see them all in the StreamYard or in the banner. If you're on Instagram, you're obviously following us here. I'm US Visa Lawyer. We're pretty much on every platform we can think of. And also we send out a newsletter. So you can sign up for a newsletter, mcenteelaw.com, and we will update you if we get any news on that. So yeah, that's the H1B kind of fiasco, I would say. I'm going to move on to another news as well, is that yesterday, was it yesterday? This has been a busy week. I'm not sure. Yesterday I think it was Wednesday. I participated in an event with the Chicago Federation of Labor and some unions and workers groups here in Chicago, in relation to this new exciting option that is potentially available to undocumented workers. It is a deferred action program. So think of DACA, if you're familiar with what that is. The first two letters in DACA stand for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, and this is a deferred action if there's a labor violations for undocumented workers who are at a work site where there are alleged violations, or an ongoing investigation. So this the option has been loosely around for a while, but there's been some new guidance from the Biden administration that really clarifies this option, and it is just a fantastic option for people. We'll be doing more and talking more about this. I'm also going to be appearing on a radio show coming up to discuss this and what this might mean for undocumented workers, for unions, for organizers. We've always done a lot of work with those groups. So we'll share that when it's available, but keep this on your radar. It's already been in process. People have already utilized this and gotten the benefit of this. The undocumented worker, essentially how it works is, if there is an alleged labor violation at a work site, so it could be, not being paid minimum wage. It doesn't have to be an immigration related violation. It could be, failure to minimum wage or overtime violations, or obviously discrimination, or anything like that. If there's something like that happening, and if there's an investigation, you can get a letter from the Illinois Department of Labor, it's not the individual worker, so it is done anonymous, like there's no people named in this part of the process. So essentially a letter is given, a statement that people the undocumented workers, it covers the whole work site, can use this letter to apply individually for deferred action. So a work permit and protection from deportation, similar to what DACA gives you. Which is just fantastic. Then you can get a social security card, your own social security card, you're work authorized. So it is like a game changer for people. Now, there are obviously requirements and steps, and not everybody who's undocumented, even if you're in the work site where this is, where these horrendous things are happening, not everybody would be a good candidate to file for this, and you'd need a screening, and you'd need to be, kind of getting a one-on-one to know that this is an option for you. But just please keep this in mind, because I think this is we're going to be hearing more of this. We're going to be sharing more about this, and it's a pretty exciting option. And it is thanks to all the organizers and all the great work that the unions have done, and the Biden administration heard. And President Biden has been a long supporter of unions, and so this is some policy that we are seeing in relation to that. So that's some great news as well. Watch the space for that. Then another news that we heard of was DACA recipients are going to be eligible for healthcare under the Affordable Healthcare Act. So this is something that came out a few weeks ago, where there's a proposed regulation by the Department of Health and Human Services, and this would make DACA recipients eligible for programs including Medicaid, Children's Health Insurance Program, and other subsidies under the Affordable Care Act. So right now, as it stands, they're not able to access them, but if this all goes, through, they will. So that's some exciting news. Obviously, DACA recipients are still living in complete uncertainty because of everything that's going on with the litigation. And, DACA was supposed to be something that was done because Congress couldn't pass the DREAM Act, and we still are very much pushing for a path to permanent status for undocumented workers, especially, including Dreamers, DACA recipients, a lot of other people that should be included in that. And I just got back from DC. I don't know if you saw our Instagram, but we posted up a photo, or on our social media. We met with Congresswoman Delia Ramirez, who's just amazing. She's the daughter of immigrants from Guatemala. She has been a massive advocate for immigrants her whole life. And now she's representing Illinois in Congress. And we got to meet with a lot of other people in Congress as well. Senator Durbin's office, Congressman Quigley's office, Congresswoman Lauren Underwood's office. And that was just my team personally. And then other teams met with other people. But we were there to talk about backlogs and processing times, and path to permanency, and fair processing, and independent immigration court, and all these things that are so important to all of our clients, that are important to us too. But when we're talking about DACA and Dreamers, and that's the end goal, is always a path to permanency, and that's what people deserve and should get, because especially for Dreamers, right? They've lived in the US almost their whole life, and they deserve some certainty, and they work hard. There's all the stats about that. So anyway, I could go on about that for a long time, but just know that that's something that we're always working on as well. We're always working on trying to make the system better. Okay, what else? So I think there's a lot of stuff going on about the border, Title 42, the overseas processing centers. That was just a very, that's an ongoing topic, no matter, when you mention immigration, the border, Title 42, all this comes up all the time. It's just, ongoing. There were some new policies that were put out. And so we just have to wait and see what's happening there in relation to all of those. What else? There's some other news, I guess, from a firm point of view. We've been doing a lot of webinars. I'm not sure if people have had a chance to view them, but the next one that's coming up with Ray, partner in the firm, and my brother, is on Wednesday, May 17th. Ray is doing US immigration options for musicians. So that's going to be great. Ray runs the sports and music side of our practice. So you definitely want to tune in if that's something that you're interested in. It's going to be so helpful. There's just a lot of nuances with music immigration. Things like itineraries, going to the union, the American Federation of Musicians, and getting a letter, structuring the petitioner, contracts, just a lot of very specific things for musicians. So you would want to tune in if that's something that you're interested in. Coming up on May 17th. I'm also going to be doing an O&A webinar. O&A is extraordinary ability in business, science, education, athletics. And that's kind of contrasted with the O&A, which is for music, arts, entertainment, motion picture, and TV. So the O&A webinar date is TB confirmed, but we'll let you know as soon as that happens. We also have I recently did one on International Entrepreneur Pro program, so Startup Pro. I did that on Wednesday. A recording of that is available, will be available. So stay tuned for that. That's for startups, US startups, or startups that want to be based in the US and that have raised funding from US based sources like VCs, angel investors, accelerator programs, or in lieu of that, some government grants and things like that. So we don't have a startup visa. I've been banging and beating this drum for a long time. We do not have that yet. But we do have this option, which can work really well for people. So if that's something you're interested in, please check out that webinar. I also have written an ebook on US immigration options for startups, Accelerate Your American Dream. It's available on Amazon in electronic format, and we're publishing a printed version soon as well. May is also the month of May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So we're excited to be showcasing some members of our team from that community, and we'll be sharing some stuff on our social media platforms as well. Also, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I think it's a good opportunity to just talk about mental health. This is also Lawyer Wellness Week, and it's an important topic to discuss. But also, recently there was a tragedy in the immigration bar, and I just think it's important to just everybody to just kind of have these conversations transparently about taking care of ourselves and each other. It's something that's really important to us in our firm. We have this therapy. It's actually a startup that's based in the UK called Spill. And it is our team has access to a therapist. They can do ask a therapist. They also can do book confidential individuals one-on-one sessions with a therapist. It's just a very transparent conversation that we have in our firm. It's a big part of our culture, is just kind of recognizing the need for support and for care, compassion, and actual professionals in the space. So it's a conversation that I think we shouldn't just obviously keep to May during this Mental Health Awareness Month or during Lawyer Wellness Week, right? This is a very taxing area of law. It's tough. It's unpredictable. It's hard on our clients. It's really hard on us. It's hard on everybody. There's just a lot of uncertainty, and that creates a lot of anxiety. And so I just didn't want this First Friday to go by without acknowledging the importance of this, and the importance of providing, if you're in a position where you can provide resources to your team. I think that's something that I think we all should be prioritizing as well. And I think just normalizing these conversations are a way that we can all help each other. So I'm just very privileged to have this platform to be able to talk about things like that. So let me see, what else are we talking about? I mentioned our ebook on Amazon. And I think that's, oh wait, we did get some questions. So one question that I got was, somebody asked, they're an influencer and they want to try for an O1 visa. Do I need to have press? So whoever asked this question, the first thing I would say is get in touch with us. We can send you the recording of the O1B webinar that we did. That was really for artists, influencers, bloggers, like for you. I think it was an hour presentation on this option for you. And I went into all the individual buckets that you need to fill and how you can do that. So the short answer is no, you do not have to have press. It's not a prerequisite. We're working with a major influencer right now. And like, she has tons of other things, but she doesn't have a lot of press. But that's fine. She has other things. So, there's a list of 6 things for the O1B, 6 kind of boxes that you can check potentially, and you want to check 3 of them. So press is one, but it's not the only one. So if press is not your thing, that's fine. As long as you're having, we sufficient evidence to document the other things, you don't need press. So that is it. We're keeping this short and sweet because I have another meeting, and I just wanted to give everybody some time back to enjoy this beautiful day. Hopefully it's beautiful where you are. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. I wish you all a great weekend, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon. Take care, everybody.